Alright, so it looks like we're gonna have to disassemble this accessory train. Try and get these heads off, because I need to loosen these chains and I don't see any way to do it from inside the head or from up here. I'm gonna take all these off, take this valve cover off, or not this valve cover, the timing cover, and we'll go from there. So, got my impact chrome sockets. Not the right size. Alright, so that's most of the bolts. I'm gonna go grab my gear puller, try and take some of these gears off so I can get these bolts and stuff that are back here behind it, and then some pliers to take that hose off, a wrench maybe to take this fitting off. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna leave that there. That's gonna come. Alright, so I figured it out. So all of these chain guards, or chainways, or whatever these are called, that the chain rides along, they're not held in place by anything, so they just slide on and off these pins here and here, and then everything just, and the gears just wiggle them off and they came right off. So it's pretty easy. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to remove the cylinder heads today. I do not have the appropriate tool to do it, and those are not something that I wish to not something I want to mutilate. I don't have a spring in it. So I'm gonna put these covers back on, put the valve covers back on, and then I'm gonna consider that to be sealed up for tonight. I'm gonna go order the tool to remove the cylinder heads. It's like a Torx bit, but it's got like 10 splines on it or so, and I do not have one that is capable of loosening those up. So I'm gonna cover this back up, and then I'll be back when I've got the tool and finish the disassembly. Alright, so this is where I was when I left off when I was previously recording. As you can see, the cams are all in pretty decent shape. There's a little bit of wear on there, but I think this was like 140,000 mile motor, so that's to be expected. But there's no grooving or anything on them. I can't feel any, so these could be reused. Honestly, I'm surprised these didn't start like flash rusting, because the covers were just open and it was raining the other way. Same thing here on the other side. It's all good. Nothing out of the ordinary on there. So the chains, these are kind of annoying to take off because I didn't really know how to take it off. So there's a little crossover piece like right here that the chain runs through, that the timing chain runs through. Then these pins right here, here, and maybe, or not that one, maybe that one, right here. So there's a bunch of chain guides that sit in there, and they just come right, they just pop right off. So once I got the this cam gear, there's just 3 screws in there. You just take those off and then wiggle it off, and then you do the same thing over here on this other one. Just wiggle it off, and then that just comes right off, and then you can just take these chain guides out and this crossover piece right here off, and then the chain guide over here and right here, and then the whole chain just comes off. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna leave that right there for now. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the cylinder head off. So just looking at it, it appears that we can just take these triple squares out. We don't actually have to remove the cams, which if I can do, I am going to do. I really do not want to deal with all of, you know, these tappets and the springs and the actual valves and everything. I want to leave those in place for as long as possible. So I'm gonna get my triple square out, which I already have here. I'm my breaker bar. Oh, no. Triple square. Let's try that one. Alright, yeah, so got a triple square. So we got a triple square. So I'm going to set this camera up somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know how. Maybe just back on my grill. And then we're going to... I don't know how you're supposed to take this off. I think you're supposed to do it like opposite the way you tighten one down. I watched a video on how to do it, but honestly it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I just kind of fell asleep, like half paying attention. I'm going to do this in the same way that you would a LS head, or at reverse order. So I'm going to start here in the center and then just work my way around, or do the X pattern and see how it goes. If I end up ruining this, you know, honestly at this point I wouldn't even be surprised. So let me get this set up and then we will try and take his head off and see what the inside looks like. But before I do that, in the last video I said that this was a sleeved motor. So I googled it just on the off chance to find out how much a sleeve would cost. And it turns out that this engine is not sleeved. It just uses a hyper-eutectic alloy there on the inside, which is aluminum, which has been saturated past its eutectic point with silicone. And then the pistons are also hyper-eutectic, so it's just aluminum on aluminum. Which is great because that means I don't have to buy a sleeve, but at the same time it's kind of annoying because now I got to try and talk the machine shop into honing out a hyper-eutectic or a silicon-based aluminum alloy. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that, or they will. It just might cost a lot. Alright, so I got all of these loosened up and taken out. So these three are still in because they were outliers from the other ones. So they all look pretty clean, pretty good. This one is a completely different color. This one soaked in oil. And this one looks like the bottom half of it burned. But that should be all of them. I don't think I have to take anything else off. Start yanking on this thing. Oh, that was easy. Alright, I'm gonna set this camera down again. Be able to take it off without taking out any of these random hoses out. This one's fine. This one I'll probably disconnect just because it's here. And this one is also disconnected. But this one, I'll have to find some way to get in there because that one's connecting the head to this. So maybe I can just disconnect that. Might be easier. So I got to disconnect it here because it's connected to the engine mount. Can't do that. I have to find somewhere to take this hose off. Now a little bit of water's coming out of it. And I gotta find some way to take this off. And then I'm gonna disconnect this one from right here and right here. It should allow me to just take this out of the way. And this is the transmission dipstick. So this has already been disconnected and it's already out of the way. So I am going to figure this out, and then I will get back to you guys when you're ready to pull the head off again. Alright, I'm back. So as you can see, I got the both heads off. I was going to record taking them off, but I ended up running into a couple of hiccups with some things that were still connected that I didn't notice. So here on the passenger side, as you can see, looks pretty good. A couple of valves rusted out, but once again, like I said, this has been stored outside, so it's not surprising. So these all look pretty good. And just like I said earlier, Google was right. This is an all aluminum cylinder. Then it's got this top ring of, I don't know, it doesn't feel like aluminum. I don't know what it is, but there's that. And then as I expected, there is some stuff inside the cylinders. Like I said, raining. So if you look at number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got number 8 here. So we got water. Come down here. Valves are open. So on here on number 2, valves are open. There's water. So it doesn't look terrible. The cylinders are all smooth. There's some gunk in there from me pulling the heads off, and then some stuff from the head gasket, which was in pretty good shape until I ripped them off, and now they're all deformed and everything. But they were in yeah, see, like this. Anyway, so this has good. Passenger side, same story. So everything looks pretty good. Still got, we got all this gunk stuff in here. I'm not worried about the stuff getting inside the engine. It's before this ever goes back together, it's gonna get hot tanked and washed out. And once I get it all completely apart, I might just take a hose and run it through the coolant system anyway to try and flush out most of that stuff. But, so I'm starting to lose some daylight. So I think I'm gonna call it for here, or call it here for tonight. The next step, which I admit I don't know how I'm going to accomplish, is to get this up, take the transmission off, take this starter out. I think that's a starter. I've got another starter, so I don't know why I got 2 of them. So we're going to take the starter off, take the motor mounts and all this accessory stuff, flip it upside down, try and take the bottom end out. So then we'll take a look at the crankshaft and all the rotating assembly. But because this water is still in here, that tells me that the piston rings are still in pretty good shape. So I'm not worried about just leaving this out here exposed to the elements. So I might just put the heads back on with a couple of the studs, just to kind of keep it in place, and then get a bag to like wrap it up. Well, for you guys it's going to be a couple of seconds. For me it's probably going to be another couple of days. And so I'll see you guys in a second. So we got the engine flipped upside down. It's kind of difficult to do, so I took the transmission off. Moving it by myself was kind of a pain, but it only weighs like 75-80 pounds, so it wasn't super heavy. So I moved that out of the way, flipped the engine over, and now we've got gonna remove all this extra stuff, move all this extra stuff around here, pull this off, and then see what the inside looks like. So I'm gonna go get some tools. I will be back momentarily. Alright, so I got the oil pan and the oil pump and the windage tray off. And then I went inside, so it's actually the next day right now. So what we're going to do now is take off all of these main caps. So on these middle 5 here, yeah, so on these middle 5, they're all 6 bolts. So you got the one here in the side, and then you got the 4 on top. So, and these outer 2, these last 2, don't have it. You can see that. So there's nothing there, and this one doesn't have it either. So we're gonna pull these main caps and do the big ones first, and then come back and do these smaller ones. Take these off, pull the crank, and then actually, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to loosen up all of these connecting rods, just to kind of make this a little bit, once we actually get to that point, it'll make it a little bit easier on me. So I'm gonna go ahead, get a couple of tools, set my camera up, and start loosening these up, and then we'll take the crankshaft out. All right, so all the pistons have been loosened up. So now we're just gonna go through and loosen and remove these main caps. Sun's starting to go down here, so I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be out here. But we'll see what we can get done in the meantime. So I think the way I'm gonna do this, start from the center and then just go out, and then I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna do the big ones first, and then I'll come back and do the small ones. All right, so I got the adapter for my breaker bar here. I've got a breaker bar that is the right size, which is it's a 1/2 inch drive. You know, you might be asking yourself, why not just get the breaker with the 1/2-inch drive instead of using an adapter? Well, it's because this one uses a 3/8 drive, so I'd need an adapter either way. And then ask, why not just get 2 sockets with the same size drive? And well, I don't want to, because my socket drawer is super disorganized, so that would be a lot of work. All right, now that they're all loose, I'm gonna take my impact and just take them out the rest of the way. They're already loose, don't freak out. All right, now try and remove these main caps. Bearings on this one look, or actually, well, no, there's a ridge on there. No, that's not good. Tell you what though, definitely got a lot easier to turn once I remove that main cap. I mean, it doesn't hurt that I also untorqued all of these caps. All right, so these are putting up a fight. So I'm gonna remove these and set them all up on my table over there. I'll get back to you guys when that's done. All right, so every single one of these has a ridge roughly center of the bearing. I don't know what the top side looks like yet, but the actual crankshaft itself is fine. I don't feel any ridges on this at all. I can see a little bit of a wear, like right there, but I can't feel anything, and it wipes away with my finger. So there's a little bit of dirt in here, like right here you can see there's some dirt on that one. But once again, this engine has been sitting outside since I bought it, so I'm not super surprised. So the next thing we're gonna do, we'll pull these bottom caps off these pistons, and then see there's still a bunch of oil in there, so I'm gonna take that out and then put it in my burn pit, get a nice fire going, and that'll finish up this disassembly. Once again, these are all already been loosened. It appears they got to take this rear timing cover off. So now I get to figure out how to loosen all these bolts up. Turn the block on its side and pull the pistons out though, so I might just do that. Alright, so I got all the pistons out. Obviously a couple of them kind of hit the ground, so there's a bunch of dirt and stuff on there, but that's superficial. So the bearings, there's a couple chunks missing out of each one. These two are just missing bearings. That's probably because they fell out after I hit them out. But the actual surface looks good. Need a good bath. All the rings on them are good. They all move. Some of them are a little bit stiffer than others, but these are all going to get new rings, new bearings. We're going to get a pretty good bath. Now I get to struggle trying to take all these bolts out. I've only got one of them that's even loose. Anyway, I'll figure it out. I'm going to turn the camera off for now to get these out. Now I'll get back to you guys when I've got this flywheel off and then this rear cover removed. Then we can take the crank out. I'm going to put these bolts back in, and then I'm just going to use this as the stand for the crankshaft so it stands upright. Alright guys, so the engine's torn apart completely. I put these bolts back in here just so I wouldn't lose them. There's not really much more I can do now other than clean it. So I think that's gonna call it for now. I'm gonna get all this stuff cleaned up, do something with that. Maybe that, I don't know, put the crankshaft inside. I'm gonna put this little piece here back on it. Oh, there's a spider already. Go away. Yeah, I'm gonna put this little piece back on it so it's got something flat to sit on. Then put it inside. I've just got it in a bucket leaning up against my Hudson right now. Speaking of, it is currently the middle of summer here in Virginia. It is incredibly hot outside, but I keep seeing everybody driving around in their sports cars. Or in their muscle cars. Like I saw a 69 Camaro and then a GT500 earlier today, and I was like, you know what? I bet you I could keep up with those guys. So I think in the next video, probably gonna start tearing this thing apart. So once again, this is all steel. It's all original. It does have some rust like down there at the rocker, back of the rear wheel well. If I can learn how to speak. But interior could use some love. So I'm gonna take this out. Start working on this. See what we can get to. I'm gonna get all this chrome redone just so it's all fancy. And then that'll also give me the opportunity to repair these big old rust holes on either side, because it's in like the same spot on both sides. I'm just gonna leave the stock wheels on it right now. These are just 215s. So it's like an 8-inch tire, I think. So those are gonna stay there for a while. First thing I'm probably gonna do is lube up these hinges right here so that I can actually get this open and closed by myself. Because to do it right now, gotta like shimmy the hood open a little bit. It's kind of annoying, and I don't want to damage any of this stuff because I don't have the as I discovered the hard way, you can see it lurking over there in the corner, I don't have the skills required to do a patch panel correctly. So I'm gonna try it with this one. I'm gonna get a couple of new rockers on order, and once those get here, start taking those off. Might have to find somewhere that I can either repair or get a new rear headlights, because these ones are cracked. That one's cracked, maybe. What about this one? This one's good. So that one's fine. Yeah. So I'm start tearing into this thing. But that'll be probably start that next week. Not next week, probably in the next couple of days. All right. Well, until next time.